which is awesome. And yeah, it's just really, really cool to be collaborating with both of you. So much depth and wisdom. This book is such a spiritual deep dive into different aspects of not only the seen but the unseen. How is that been for you, Mandy, stepping into that world of the unseen and then translating that to the seen?
Well, it's been quite the journey, and my chapter is literally about my own process of losing someone very dear to me and having that experience open me up completely to the world of the unseen and being able to connect with my spirit guides and my angels and my ancestors and this particular friend who passed away really opened that gate for me. And in a way, it was something that I always was able to do since I was a little kid, but I never trusted it. I was taught, pretty hard lines about things when I was a kid and about different religion and the aspects of all of that. And, having this be our one life. And as soon as we die, we go into heaven or hell, and you can't move around between the two, and you can't come back and visit your family or whatever. And this experience completely showed me that that is possible. And I'm able to do it now. I know it sounds out there sometimes, but I trust it 100%. And I know so many other people have had experiences like that, and they also don't trust it. They maybe try to talk about it and are invalidated or told that they're crazy or that that's not possible. And I really want my chapter to be a permission slip for people to allow themselves to trust that inner knowing and to allow themselves to connect to these other realms that are existing at the exact same time as we are right now. There are no limits. We are all part of the same source energy that is infinite and never ending.
Unicorn magic.
Unicorn magic.
And it's so true. When you have an experience of something, then it becomes a reference point, and no one can take that away from you. You know, if you think about it, when the Spanish ships came across to South America, it was only the shamans actually could see the ships. And once they saw them and came into their consciousness, then everyone else could actually start seeing them. And I feel it's our responsibility to share these insights with others. And so they can develop their consciousness and expand and grow and then start seeing and having these experiences themselves. It's very hard to imagine a sunset if you've never seen a sunset. And so it's these way showers that come forward, people like yourself and Mary and the other authors in the book that have these experiences and then share them to help and support other people. That's the way that I see it. And it's a beautiful share, Mandy. And also, Mary, you've had I guess your understanding and connection with your inner knowing came through a moment of like hardship and where you felt like everything was falling apart, but in hindsight, it was coming together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the greatest gift. So a relationship, my primary relationship with the man who I had my children with was, well, we can say it was falling apart, but it was really expanding. And now we're great friends. But at the time, it was a really deep, deep depression that I was in. And I'd gone away to Magnetic Island, just off the coast of Queensland, to try and figure out what to do. Because I'd made this vow that I would never break up my family because my parents did that to me and I blamed them for everything. So I was never going to do that with my family. But it came to that point where I was so distressed that I was going for a walk in this beautiful bushland and just so depressed. And I could see the contrast between the beauty that I should be experiencing and what was actually going on inside of me. And I just kind of stopped and I screamed at the sky, "Who am I?" And I heard this crashing voice speak within me, and it said, "You are a musician and a healer." super loud. And I just went, what? And I dropped to my knees. Literally, I just got weak and dropped to my knees, and the tears were pouring down my face. And I realized I have had this inner wisdom all my life, and I have been being guided all along, and I was not listening until it was actually screaming at me. And it was just a completely life-changing moment. And from there, I never ignored that again. Sometimes it went underground a little bit, but I was constantly reminded when I wasn't listening to it. I would have illnesses. I would get sicker and sicker and sicker until I was listening and following what it was telling me to do. And this opportunity with the book is really, it was divine, absolutely, because I've been what I call channeling. It can mean a lot of different things, but when I close my eyes and I open my field, I can pour that wisdom that is at the depths of all of us. It's not my particular inner wisdom, it's the wisdom of all of life. And I can feel that rush through my body, and I can bring through those messages for divine love and healing for humanity and for individuals. So I've been doing that and helping people to open their channels, to trust themselves, to bring out their divine voices, which is their unique way of expressing this wisdom of all of us in the world. That's what I'm super passionate about at the moment.
And that's so true. It's available to everyone at
Yeah.
any time. And I feel sometimes, or at least for me, when I first discovered it, I thought it felt more like, oh, like I have it now, but I could lose it again. So, like, how do I get it back? And so, how do you trust your inner knowing, Mandy? Like, what's some other things that you do?
I think it really is a practice. I love how you shared that it can sometimes feel like, oh gosh, I'm going to lose it, you know? So, ways that have really worked for me are leaning in, and meditation is a big one that I do regularly, and breath work as well. I'm actually a breathwork facilitator, and I always encourage the people who come to my sessions to allow their angels and their spirit guides and their higher self and source energy to come in and to assist, because we do always have access to that assistance and it doesn't ever go away. We just start to get more human about it. And it's okay because we are spiritual beings having this human experience. So it doesn't necessarily come easily because we do have these boundaries of our body in a way, but you can really learn by practicing to open up your heart and to open up your crown and to really become, like Mary was saying, a channel, and just allow these things to be present. They're there anyway. So you might as well try to just open up, and like I said, it really is a practice, and that's why we call it a practice. Yoga is a practice, meditation is a practice. Most people don't do it once and they're like, okay, I'm good. I'm open forever, because life happens and sometimes we do get shut down a little bit more on this physical plane. And then we practice it again and we open back up. And the more that we do that, the easier it gets. And the more we trust it and the better it feels to do that. It's less scary, I guess, is in my experience, because it was so real and also so different from what I had always been taught. I felt like maybe I was going to be in trouble for crossing these lines, so to speak. And that fear kept me from really opening up for a long time. And when my best friend passed away and all of the boundaries just kind of dissolved, that was really a moment for me to feel safe in allowing myself to be an open channel, and that there was nothing to fear, and that the shame and the grief and all of the feelings that I was attributing to this openness and this connection could be relieved and dissolved, and I could feel them to heal them and then let them go. And that is a practice too,
Right.
because the grief comes back, and sometimes shame comes back and fear comes back. Again, we're just having this human experience. It's all part of it. It's part of the glorious ride, and it's really a gift. It's like we hit the lottery getting to be in these bodies and live during this time. And so to really look at life like that, like we're lucky to be here. And even though sometimes things seem really hard, and they are, we get to choose how we navigate and how we react. And we can do that with the support and power of source energy that shows up for us always, in all ways. All we have to do is allow it.
Mm.
I
Can I
love
add
that. That's
something real quick?
fantastic. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mary. Did you want to?
Oh no, that's quite all right. I just got all excited because um, I think at this time, those feelings that come up that we think are taking us away from Source, we're being supported by Source, and that they're bringing these things up for release. And I had an experience a couple nights ago where my 13-year-old self and all the trauma that she had experienced and stuffed away in this body was coming up to the surface, and I was just having this big old 13-year-old tantrum in the bedroom about how I used to feel about myself, and I didn't like myself, and I did this and I did that. And I just acknowledged her, and I let her just, bang it all out. And, we can be that. We can be that for ourselves. Yeah. And that's what I think in these times, like we're saying, these crazy times, we don't always have our coach or our, whoever with us to bounce off of. We've got to go to within us, which is the most magical and powerful place to seek refuge. And that's like the biggest gift from showing people how to contact their own, or to trust, they've been receiving it all along, to trust their own inner knowing, is they can call on that anytime, whatever's going on. And you can be that for yourself. And how does it get better than that?
Yeah, it's never too late to reparent ourselves. And
Mm.
why that you would, I think it was Mandy that was talking. It was 11:11 here in Thailand. So I just took a screenshot and so I can show you later. The book is 99 cents on Amazon. It's number two in Australia in three categories. Number three in Sweden in Mind, Body, Spirit. And it's climbing the charts in the US, Canada, and UK. And so it's really exciting to see that people are reading it all around the world, which is awesome. And yeah, I think that more people are having that when you were talking, um, Mandy, about those times where it's like conflict, like you have this conditioning that you're growing up with, but then you have these experiences that are at conflict or contradict the conditioning. And so, what advice would you have for people that find themselves in that? It's almost like a tug of war or a seesaw of emotions. How would you suggest one navigates that sort of push pull, or these are the people that brought me into this world and this is what I learned from them, but I'm actually having these experiences that are in conflict with that.
I think it's good to have awareness of everybody is really doing the best that they can with the information that they have. I love my parents, and they did such a great job raising me, and they were just using the information that they had to try to build a positive life for me. And it's interesting because I love how Mary was talking about reparenting your inner child, and she kept doing this because
Mm.
somatic practices are so, so important. So if you are feeling conflict, or, having that duality where it's contradictory, and you feel this way but you were taught this way, it's okay to just get really quiet and take some slow deep breaths, and just allow some answers and some truth to come to you. And typically, if you are able to quiet your mind and really get into that space, you'll know. There's like an inner dial that's like, this is true, this is not true. And so when you are really not sure, allow the answers to come to you by using a practice like that. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths, really relax. Somatic practices, again, are some of my favorite things to work through some of that stuff, because what comes up in our body is that it's not safe to think this way or to trust this thing that happened, because of our programming. So to really allow ourselves to feel safe in our body to change the way that we see something. One of my favorite somatic practices that's really easy, and Mary just pretty much showed us, is just giving yourself a hug for one. And if you crisscross your arms over your chest like this, it's called a butterfly hug. You can pat your shoulders one at a time and just take some slow, deep breaths. And this practice resets our nervous system. It signals to the brain safety. So in those moments of conflict, this is something that I do regularly because I still have moments like that. Totally.
Yeah, don't we all? Yes.
Yeah, it's just part of it. And so, really, just learning these different tools to navigate helps so much to just feel safe in your knowing that, yes, this experience is true for me, and not be holding anything, against yourself when you were younger, or against the people who raised you, or someone who told you it was one way and now you're realizing it's another way. Have forgiveness in your heart and give yourself and everyone forgiveness and grace. That's so huge. And that can make it easier to step into this new realm too, if this is sort of new for you or contradictory to the way that you've been raised, like it was for me. Those practices right there are probably my own personal best advice and what I use continually today to help me navigate deleting old programming and allowing this new paradigm that we're stepping into to really just embody it and to embrace it and to feel safe while all that's going on so that I can integrate and be who I want to be. And that is someone who can inspire other people through the experiences that I've had to hopefully be able to step into this with more ease and flow and to be able to trust themselves while, giving grace and forgiveness to the people who might have told us differently at some point. It might have even been ourselves a lot of the time. We form our own opinions on things. We're always influenced by external sources, but we also have the power of free will and we get to choose what we believe. And so choosing that and really being joyful about it and not feeling bad for it or feeling like you might hurt someone by thinking differently. Maybe you'll inspire them to see it differently now, as long as you just continue to shine your light from that place of openness and vulnerability. And that is probably my best advice on how to get through
Yeah.
those challenging times.
Magical. Yeah, really cool. And coming from your own experience as well. And I like to actually put my hand on my sacral chakra and then on my heart. And I find that really calms my nervous system and just breathing into that I find really powerful as well. But yeah, thank you for sharing the butterfly hug. And I feel that that's also with the tapping, impacting the nervous system. And yeah, that's a really good one. I have to try that. So thank you, yeah, for sharing. And Mary, when you were in Magnetic Island and you were having that, I guess, awakening and the connection with Source, was it just all smooth sailing after that, or how were you able to navigate this new paradigm shift?
It wasn't, I wouldn't say smooth sailing, but because I started trusting myself so much more. So I had internally, the voice said, "You are a musician and a healer." And I'd been wanting to study energy healing and do a massage course and get back into my music and sing. And it just kind of, I just suddenly went, oh, I've got permission to do all that now. I kind of gave myself permission to step into those parts of me. And that really exploded. From that moment, that's where I really stepped into and discovered the gifts that I have. And yes, it wasn't smooth sailing. Like I think, life is a bit like that in general, but
Right.
definitely smoother knowing that I could trust myself and I had those skills to be able to feel when my inner knowing was telling me something. I've got a thing that I do, a process that I do to that's really easy, where you can ask yourself, body, show me what my inner yes feels like. And you'll notice what that feels like on the inside. And you can ask, now show me what my inner no feels like. And that will feel different. You just tune into your body. And then you can ask a question and you will feel that sensation. If it's a yes, you'll feel, feel a rising sensation and I feel tingling in my head. If it's a no, I feel a sinking sensation and a feeling in my belly. And you can practice that a few times, getting in tune, in touch with what your body's telling you. And I used that once when I got lost. I was on a walk in an unfamiliar place in the Sunshine Coast. And it was getting dark, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I went, hang on, I have the technology. And I asked myself, okay, that's right. Show me my inner yes. I had to go back and remember what it felt like. Is it this way? No. Okay. Is it this way? And I got a yes. And I walked that way, and lo and behold, I found my way out before it was pitch black outside.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
really cool. And I just you both actually shared that, trust and inner knowing is synonymous. That it's, you can't have one without the other, and learning to, yeah, understand which voice is the yes and which is the no. I feel is very pertinent. And for me, it feels more like an expansion in my chest, so an opening, and then it's more of a constriction for a no. And it's so clear. And so if it's a maybe, then it might be a little bit above. So it could go either way. But for you, Mandy, do you have a process where you're like, this is a yes for me, or this is a no? Is there something similar that you do?
It is similar, yes, and I think I mentioned it too earlier on this call. The gauge, I see a gauge, and it does like feel lighter to me when it's yes, and it's a yes or a no, and then of course in the middle is the maybe. But if I can close my eyes and just take a deep breath and ask the question, my gauge will point to yes or no. And yes feels expansive, it feels open and light, and no feels sort of like you were saying, constricted. And that was something that I was taught by my breathwork facilitator trainer years ago. And I just instantly resonated with this practice and started using it every day and practicing it every day. And so now it's easy and I trust it. And if I'm ever unsure about anything, I use that inner guidance and it always steers me on the right path.
That's yeah. You actually hadn't shared it on this call, but I know you're on lots of calls, so it feels like you're on two, three, four calls a day, and you have, I think, 5 children. Is that right?
Or
4 children. Yeah, I remember it was like, I think it was Lexi's birthday or something late last year, and you guys went out and had a amazing celebration. And of course, your Lexi is named after your best friend that passed away.
yes.
Share about in your chapter. So, so she lives on with you not only in spirit but also within your daughter. So
Yes, the name carries her on, and it's so interesting because as soon as this child was born, there were interesting mannerisms and just personality crossover. It really has been quite an experience having such a connection with my friend who's passed away, and then having a child that I've named after this person, and having all of these synchronistic connections combined just really drive home that we're all one and that we are all fractals of the same light, and that when it all boils down, there are no differences, that we're all in this together and that we're really just reflections of each other. And it's beautiful, and it's interesting too, especially when someone might be in a way that you don't like or really vibe with or whatever. It's like, okay, instead of just being judgmental, I like to think, how is this person a reflection of me? What can I learn about myself in this moment, noticing these things about somebody else that I might not agree with? And that's just an interesting practice too. And it does begin to allow you to just have more grace for other people and for yourself, and just also, really understand that that deep truth
That
that we
we're all
are all
one.
one.
Mm,
Yeah, I like to ask myself, well, where have I done that in my life?
mhm.
I mean, 10 out of 10, I've done it somewhere, maybe not that level and that intensity, but in a different form. I mean, we all have different emotions, behaviors, and go-tos. But yeah, lo and behold, if I do a deep enough exploration, I'll come up, oh yeah, it was this time I actually did this very similar thing. So yeah, and it just comes back to that oneness and source that you were saying. I love that. That's a great insight. And Mary, you're saying Grace a lot, also Mandy. And it's funny enough, Mary's middle name is Grace, so Mary Grace.
Mhm.
Is that your full name, or that's your? So it's Mary Grace McCloud.
Yeah, so formerly my middle name was McCloud.
Mhm.
McCloud was my grandmother's maiden name, and that was my middle name. But then I decided to take McCloud as my surname because I didn't need any married names after my middle name. And then I decided Grace was a really beautiful, because it reminds me that I'm both Mary, the personal self, and I'm Grace, all there is. Every time I think, yeah, every time someone says my name, then I remember I'm both.
Yeah, I really like that. And recently, with your partner, you were in Uluru, and
Mm-hmm.
which is in the center of Australia. It's this huge rock. Do you find that going to places like that have a cultural significance, a spiritual significance, are really good for deepening your awareness and connection to your inner knowing?
Yes, definitely. Just sitting by that massive monolith. Um, and my partner plays the didgeridoo, so we do sound healings, and he brought his didgeridoo and was playing that indigenous instrument to the rock, and it was beautiful. He was seeing all kinds of the ancestors. I was feeling the ancestral energy. They were like dancing around us, and just in celebration of our oneness and our willingness to be there in the highest good of all. So whenever we do anything, we ask for it to be in the highest good of all. And they didn't care that he's not indigenous and he was playing the didgeridoo. They were thrilled. It felt, the energy felt so clear and so clean and so beautiful. And we've got quite a strong connection to nature. We make sure that we go out and we play our instruments in nature, which is another way of hearing your inner knowing, is connecting with the trees and sitting on the grass and just listening to the water and being empty inside. And when you're empty, then grace can fill you with itself. You can hear it all. Mm. Yeah, so that was definitely one of the highlights, definitely of the last year, if not much longer.
Yeah, I mean, it looked amazing. I saw the videos and your partner playing the didgeridoo, and you could just feel the essence that something magical was taking place, and there was, an energy and essence, a beingness, spirit was very present. I could just feel it through the video. That was really cool. And I've had a similar experience, not with a didgeridoo, but doing breath work in Sedona, Arizona, leading a
Oh,
breath work just
Sedona.
with, yeah, some guides and spirit's very strong and alive there, and yeah, it was really really cool,
Mhm.
amazing experience. And I find that going to places like this really does deepen our sense of connection to ourselves, to all that is, and to that oneness and source. And is that something that you like to do as well, Mandy, to go out in nature or go on explorations?
Absolutely. That is my favorite place to practice meditation, is just outside.
Yeah.
And I live in the Pacific Northwest of the United States in Washington, and it is beautiful here. We're right on the edge of the Pacific coast. We have the Olympic National Rainforest basically as our backyard. And so we love to go hiking, and it's not necessary. I mean, we have so many beautiful things around us, and it is incredible to go and experience these places and see this beauty and really get quiet. And I can do it in my own front yard too. You know, if you can just
Right, you
get
can. It's
outside,
so true.
just getting outside and getting your feet in the grass and getting some sunshine on your face and just feeling the breeze and just really using all of your senses to quiet the mind and to empty yourself, like Mary said, and just allow that beautiful life force energy to just pour in. It's there, it's in every element. And when you're outside, you just are so much closer to it. I feel like that in our bodies, I mean, we can sense it more rather than just being inside, you know, or not being barefoot on the grass kind of thing. It's getting back to nature is a wonderful tool to getting closer to God.
Very true. Yeah, I totally agree. And just having that connection, bare feet with the earth, and it's just, that energetic connection. And there's been a lot of research done on how healing that can be for the body, just to have your bare feet on the earth and to feel so connected. Because I feel a lot of us, we've never been so connected with technology, right? But I feel like there's a huge disconnect in personal lives in a lot of ways as well. So yeah, I love that. And just sort of go outside. You don't have to go to a forest or a special place. You can just go out in the front yard or the backyard and it's earthing or hug a tree and it's available to us just to just outside or look in the clouds and just wonder and like to see different shapes and forms in the clouds is pretty fun. So.
Mm. That just reminded me of something, just real quick, that where people tend to look outside for their God or their source, but it's as easy as looking in the sky. It's as easy as looking in the mirror. It's never apart from you. It is who you are. Mm.
Yeah, I love that. And you talk about a lot about in your chapter about that channeling that, higher self or future self or surrendering to your higher self. What are some things people can do to tap into their higher self, their inner knowing? Um,
Mm. I stopped really thinking of that we have a higher self because it feels like it's so much more integrated now that there is no higher or lower self. It's all just who we are.
yeah.
And to tap into that, I usually get people first to ground their feet into Mother Earth. So we do just a bit, breathe a breath in. And on the exhale, you imagine your feet are going down into Mother Earth like the roots of your tree of life, and you're letting her take your weight, allowing her to take your weight and all the burdens. And you're surrounded by her beautiful, nourishing soil. It's a process of relaxation, and you're letting the resistance out of your physical body, which then opens you to be able to feel and hear what's within you. And then we breathe out through the feet, opening the body like a big wide pipe. And exhaling, opening the crown and connecting up with all of our guides and angels. And breathing in their love and letting it cascade down through your channel of life, down through your body, rinsing, cleansing, clearing, whatever is not in alignment with your highest truth. And we allow that to fertilize Mother Earth. So in fact, we're opening ourselves to be the conduit between heaven and earth, to be heaven on earth, which I love the idea of. And from here, we're so much more relaxed to be able to ask the question and put it in that channel. Just drop the question in there without any expectation or need to have an answer. And then we just be with it and feel into what we receive. We might be taken on a journey up into the heavens, riding some constellations. We might contact a memory we've long forgotten and realize what wisdom was in that memory, why that thing happened to us. We might be able to it might give us wisdom as to what's going on in our life in the moment. And once you're in here, you actually don't want to ever come back. You're just like, can I just live here? And yes, we can just live here, but we do have to open our eyes and walk around the earthly plane. But if we constantly, remind ourselves to bring our awareness to the crown, we never have to lose that feeling of connection, which is not really a connection. It is really, truly the life force that makes you alive.
Yeah, I love that process. When I normally do closed eyes process like that, I ground myself to my base chakra first, and then I send the energy up my spine and through the crown chakra. So that way I'm still grounded to the earthly plane, and then go up and out. But horses for courses, of course,
Whatever
whatever works for
works.
you. Yeah, I really felt my crown chakra opening up during that process, and yeah, you can really tell that you live and breathe this stuff, both of you. And what else feels alive for you, Mandy, with like your inner knowing? And so, yeah.
I love the process that Mary just shared, and it's very similar to what I teach in my breathwork practices. And it's, grounding into Mama Gaia, Mother Earth, first and foremost, because we are humans having this human experience. It is important that we stay grounded and we can stay open and connected and embodying and integrating these knowings that it actually is just who we are. And like Mary said, it's not higher self. I like that visualization for people who are new to this, to be able to kind of bring it together. And I also really enjoy going through the different energy points in the body. I love that you ground into your root chakra and opening the crown, and then going through all the different energetic points in the body and really sending anything that isn't serving our highest good just down through that grounding cord into the earth to be transmuted into love and light. And Mary just took only a few minutes to go through that with us. And I closed my eyes. I know what to do. I'm like, yes, okay, cool. And it's just such an incredible practice. And it
Yeah,
doesn't take
really.
long.
Yes.
If you can just take a few minutes to just visualize that, it's there. And the answers, I love, Mary, how you said just drop the question in there with no expectation, just feel yourself expanding and just see what comes up. That's really what we have to do. I think as humans, we want to control things, and really surrendering, yeah, surrendering and just allowing that inner knowing to be present. The answers are there and the guidance is there. And it's really such a beautiful thing. And I don't want to say that it's easy, but it's not as complicated or as hard as a lot of people make it out to be, or think that it might be before they start practicing it. They think, oh, I don't have an hour to do a guided meditation. You can do it in 3 minutes, just like we just did.
Sure, for sure. I think it's
Yeah.
a matter of people taking that initiative with themselves instead of waiting for someone to guide them through a meditation. You do it for yourself, because then that's going to remind you, because most of us have forgotten that we're the active ingredient in our own lives. Like, it's our choice is our guidance, is the driving force. And if you're not choosing consciously, then all the forces that are out there, you're getting yanked this way and that way, and your happiness is not in your own control. It is, because you can guide where you put your attention. And where you put your attention is going to bring you that experience.
I agree 1000%. Where attention goes, energy flows, and thoughts do become things. And we are the authors of our lives. And so taking that responsibility, that radical responsibility, knowing, ooh, because sometimes that's hard. It's like, ooh, maybe I did not make the best choice there. And things that happen to us are not necessarily our fault, but the way that we react to them and the way that we move forward is our responsibility. And so having that awareness is a wonderful thing. It gives us the ability to take back the pen and write out how the next chapter is going to go. And I feel so thankful to have that awareness, to not be being pulled from this or that, or not be having extreme reactions to things, where I know that I can just sort of float above it and come from an observation perspective and choose what my reaction is going to be. And that is a bit of a practice too, but it's absolutely possible. And it gets easier the more that you do it. And you'll live a more peaceful life the more that you do it as well. And you end up being an inspiration to other people to take control of their own life as well. We are all our own best healers. We can't wait for someone to come and do it for us. So, yeah, to what Mary said, really just doing it yourself and knowing that you're powerful enough to do it and that you have the answers within you to figure it out, even if you feel like you don't know.
Right, right. It's so
And
true.
learn.
And yeah, it's all integrated and it's all sort of, and it reminds me of a conversation I had a few years ago with Michael Bernard Beckwith at Agape. That's his spiritual center in Culver City, California. And we were filming him, and he was saying that there is in a lot of people are going around without clear intention. He called it intention deficit disorder. So
Mm-hmm.
without having a clear understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, like what's your intention for the day? You want to experience grace, joy, gratitude, ease, flow, and we'll set that intention during the day. As Mary was sharing with that quick meditation, 3 minutes, we just sort of dropped in and we, activated the crown chakra. You can, in that energy, you can set an intention that you want for the day. It could just be like 1, 2, 3 words. Before we start work, me and my team, we do a group meditation, and we get into that really nice energy, and we set an intention for the day, individually, and just wrap it around that energy, and then just send it out into the universe, and that energy comes back and finds you. And I feel it's just a really nice way just to intend and deliberate creation. As you were saying, Mandy, thoughts are things, and what we focus on, expands and grows. And so, we actually are the creators of our life, and we can co-create with, Mother Nature, Gaia, source energy, and all the rest of it. And it's just an honor. I created this series more than 10 years ago now. And it
Mm.
was kind of like by accident, just kind of fell me. I was like, kind of like walking through the woods, and I fell over a log, and, it's like the book series. No, it wasn't like that. But I was working with a mentor, and she just suggested it. She was helping me move my coaching practice online. And she said, rather than it just be a coaching program, why don't you have a book as part of it? And that's how Journey of Riches started. And that idea was planted in 2013. And then the first book was published in 2015. And so I love that I get to speak to, people like yourself. And, we're in different parts of the globe. I'm in Thailand, Mary's in South Australia, and you're in the West Coast, up on the Pacific there in Washington State. And it's just amazing that we connect. And, in this book, we have authors from Cyprus, Poland, by way of Ukraine, or other New Zealand, UK, Canada. It's just extraordinary that we're all coming together in this common theme. And the book now it's 99 cents. All the proceeds go to Jules Children's Home, and it's number 2 in Australia in 3 categories. Number 3 in Sweden, which is just awesome, and it's climbing the charts in Canada and United States. What have you? I just was curious. Well, to both you, but I guess Mary first, Mary Grace, is like, have you got a concrete experience where like you were called to trust your inner knowing? There was almost like a crossroads. You could take path B or path C, and one was more aligned with your inner knowing and one wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
It's it's quite a personal one, but I can depersonalize it just for the sake of the other people.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I was, it's another relationship story, but I was trying to make a long story short. We were just sitting in bed reading or whatever, and I knew like inside this wasn't working out, and I was so sad that it wasn't working out, but I knew inside that it wasn't working out. And my inner voice, this is years later after I started hearing it, it said again, really auditory, really, you know this is over, don't you? And I really heard it outside of myself, and I looked at him, and because I thought that the voice had come out, but it hadn't. It had just rung through me, and I knew it, and I still didn't listen, even though it was shouting, because I just couldn't bear the thought of it, even though I knew it was the right thing. And that was the time that I started getting sick. I got an infection, then I got another infection, then I had an accident, and then I had something else happen because I wasn't listening to that inner guidance that was promising me that everything was going to be okay. Because I'd had another child with the second marriage, and once again, I was being guided to leave this situation. And so I finally went, okay, I know, I understand now, I will follow. I'm sick enough now. And of course, everything worked out fine. It worked out way better than fine after the dust settled. It was the best thing for everyone. And even though I had been hearing this voice for years, and I'd even written a book by then, not specific, well, it was about that. It was about your inner voice. I still wasn't always listening to it, wasn't always following that guidance. But if I can save anyone else from having to go through what I did with the physical ailments, you need to listen and trust that it all is well, even if we can't see what possible positive outcome this could have. We can't see it because we can't see all dimensions at once from where we're at in the 3D, in this physical reality. We can't see it. We just have to trust. And I can tell you, it's spectacular. He's now in the life that he should be in, has a brood of new kids, other kids with really the love of his life, and it's been perfect for everyone. So if that was the kind of question you were asking, have I answered
Yes,
it?
yeah, you
Sometimes when I
got it
start
right
telling a
on.
story, I can't remember what the
Yes.
question was.
Yeah, it just seems that the relation. Well, I guess relationships play a big part in all our lives, and
Mm,
just been really pertinent in your own, and just hindsight playing a big part. Reflections like, yes, oh, that was so the right decision to make. We don't.
mm,
I love how you said we don't always see it when we're making it, but just
mm,
trusting that knowing, that feeling, and I feel
mm.
the more that we connect with ourselves, nature, and things like that, then we foster that trust with the inner knowing and intuition and having that all integrated. Um, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it's awesome. Can you speak into that, Mandy? Like if you've had I know you've had a lot of experiences where you've been in a crossroads or you've just known that something was the right decision to make without it being logical.
Well, a real turning point for me was after the birth of my first child. I had an incredibly traumatic birth, and I was injured during the birth. My right hip got dislocated, and I didn't know it, which I know sounds like something that you would know, but I had just had my first baby naturally. I was in labor for like 40 hours. And so I was trying to stretch. It really felt like my lower back was really hurting. And so I was trying to stretch, and I ended up tearing the soft tissue and the ligaments around my right hip. And I was in excruciating pain, and I couldn't walk for 3 months. And I was newly postpartum, first time mom. And I had severe postpartum depression, and I really got to a point where I was hanging by a thread. And I did not think that I was going to survive. I didn't know if I was ever going to walk again. I was in a really dark place where I thought that it might even be better if I just ended things. And this moment of rock bottom, which we know, and I know because I this moment changed my life completely because I was told by my inner self, my inner voice yelled at me basically, um, that I had a choice, that I could die right now and not have to go on any further, or I could heal from this because the same power that makes the body heals the body. And as long as I trusted in that and trusted in myself to keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep breathing, basically, it really came down to that. Just keep breathing, that I was going to get well and that I would be able to be a good mom for my kid, which was one of the things that was really holding me up in that moment. And I know in hindsight, it was a lot of hormones at play. Postpartum depression happens to 1 in 3 women. It's a very common thing that doesn't get talked about often enough. And I made that decision right then and there. I said, I don't know how. And this voice said, you don't have to. Just surrender and just trust and just keep breathing. And so I did, and I did heal. And when I say it changed my life, it completely did because I had been a hairstylist for 15 years before that. And I knew that my calling in this lifetime was to become a birth worker. And so I now, for almost 13 years, have been a postpartum, or well, a postpartum, and a bereavement doula. So I help people get through the birth experience, which can be traumatic, and the postpartum recovery, which every woman really needs more support in that time and space. And so it has given me so much purpose in life. And I feel so honored to help people through what for me was just the darkest time of my life. And that was a real crossroads turning point for me. And there were others, there are many others, but that one was probably the one where I was closest to just checking out. And instead, I found my life's purpose and now have so much more meaning and soul to what I do. It fills my cup more than anything ever has. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am making a difference in this world by doing this sacred work and being in that sacred space. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for what I went through because I know that I wouldn't have come to this place had I not been at the edge like I was.
Yeah, that's a great share and story. And wow, that moment of like, you almost gave up and left this plane. And wow, you stuck it out, you trust your inner knowing. And it led to like amazing transformation, not only for yourself, but all the women that you've been able to guide through the birthing process that may have hit that rock bottom moment. And you, by listening to that inner voice, were able to help them successfully, navigate that. That's really cool. That's very inspiring. And both of you have had moments like that. And yeah, it's super inspiring. There's so much that's not really understood about the birthing process, and I guess the increase in cesareans. And um, I think we also spoke about when we first chatted about placenta and encapsulating the placenta and how that can give nutrition back to the mother. And yeah, in the Balinese culture, I lived in Bali for 8 years. In the Balinese culture, they actually bury the children's placenta in a sacred place. Around the other ancestral's placenta, and they believe that then other like their grandmother might come into the child, or great great grandfather's energy will come into the child. It's like a rebirth into a new incarnation, and so that's quite extraordinary to witness that. So there's just so much in that, and it's all connected, right? To There's just so many different layers to it. It's just such an incredible book. I don't know if you've had a chance. I've been saturated in the stories in the last few weeks, getting it ready for publishing, and our team as well with Evie and Sephora, and then the editing team and proofreaders and formatters, and we've been communicating, going back and forth. And have either of you had a chance to go through and read the other chapters?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for my copy to show up, but I can.
Okay, right. Yeah. Well, hopefully it should arrive soon, or 99 cents on Amazon for the Kindle. I know some like to have the tactile. I used to very much be like that. Now it's just like download on the phone. You can get the app nowadays, and I used to travel I used to travel quite a lot. I'm not so much the last couple of years, but yeah, I like to have less things, so more of a minimalist approach. Um, yeah. Anything else that either of you like to share about your inner knowing, feels pertinent, true, maybe like last thoughts or takeaways for people that are watching this?
The only thing coming to me is silence and presence. Everything's contained in the silence. The gaps between the words, between the thoughts.
Yes, and what's coming up for me is just trust. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Give yourself permission to have that radical trust and know that the answers are within you. And that if you feel really strongly, no matter what somebody else tells you, they cannot take away your truth. So trust it.
Yeah, I like that. And eventually, people's circumstances can come back into alignment later on with your choices and decisions. And sometimes in the moment, it will disappoint others. But staying true to your own inner knowing, inner voice, trusting that eventually things recalibrate and come back into alignment as they're meant to. And so it's certainly been true in my life. So. Awesome. Well, it's been great connecting with you both. And of course, yeah, thank you so much. Honor the journey that you're both on. And I feel privileged that you said yes to this journey and allowing me and my team to work with you through this process. And it's an amazing read. And people, of course, can get it on Amazon, the ebook, paperback, or Audible version if you're in the States or have a US account. And yeah, and all the proceeds go to Jules Children's Home, which is really cool. So awesome.
Thank you too. Thank you, John. We've said it a lot of times, but it can't be said enough.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you and
Yeah,
your host.
thank you. That's so cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you both, and yeah, we'll have connecting, I'm sure, throughout the launch. So, and thanks for listening and watching. And for those that are watching on Facebook, we can't see you, but we'll get to your comments and things shortly. And really appreciate you watching and your presence. So, right, awesome.
Awesome.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.